Okay, let me see. Yeah. Okay, so just to repeat myself now, political anxiety, it means that to be uncertain, fearful of what the politics of the world holds in our lives and in the world in general. So, as I've mentioned that in the movement, we might be certain at where the future is going. And as we have predicted that things are going to be worse, we are living in a period of a Sunday law, or if and we know the difficult times of this period as well. And we might be even fearful of what the future holds in the world and also as individuals. But sometimes what we are also uncertain of, it might be what this means in our personal lives. So the question I have maybe today is that how is it that that we the question that I have for us today that we can have or put on in our mind is that how is it that we can acknowledge that the future feels scary but still find an internal sense of safety and peace? Like, what does that look like in this time that we 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 are living in? Uh, can you just hold on for a bit? There's someone knocking on my. Sorry about that. I had to attend something. Yeah, just to continue, the question that I've asked is that how is it that we can acknowledge that the future feels a bit scary, but still find internal sense of safety and peace at this whole situation that we are facing in the world? And there's this, principle, that speaks about focus on what you can control, because looking at what we consume also in the movement, we find that there's a lot that even what Elder Pamanda shares on the media podcast, following the studies and whatnot, looking at the news, seeing the way, the direction that the world is taking, when it comes to things that we are supposed to be standing up for. Let's say, for instance, we are radical feminists, and today we're supposed to be reading, obviously, a book. Uh, Feminism is for everybody, by bell hooks. What does that mean, looking at how the world is taking a direction away from what we are supposed to be standing up for? The difficulties that comes with that, it can be overwhelming in our mind. It can be hard to deal with in our lives. So uh, as much as we can look at that, we need to focus on the things that we can control. We cannot change the world. We know that the world has been taken and is now at the hands of Satan, and like there's no way that we can come back. As much as there's a lot of ill in the world, there's still some good in it. And the good that is in it, it's what we can offer as well in the movement. People around us, and the impact that we can put in them, and the lives that we can change as well. Uh, they say there's this saying that says, change starts with you, and it's not about like trying to uh, change the whole world, but trying to change the life that you live in, trying to be aware of the things that are happening in the world, following uh, the studies which are being put out, keeping up with the message and things like that can help us do that. And this is the personal things that we can control. Yes, we cannot control the effects of who people vote for. We cannot control, you know, the climate of things, the way things in the climate change in the world. We cannot control, what other people's views and perspective are when it comes to the world. But what we can control is the personal uh, experience that we might have, what we can choose, uh, like for ourselves. Uh, the things that you can control is the way the impact you have on other people based on the life that you are living. Uh, you know, One thing that we can see about this is that we'll see the lack of love and humanity that that will come out of the direction of the politics of the world, you know, especially on women and the LGBTQ community, So these are the people that we need to show more love to. uh you know this is it's where we are called to be refugees to them, uh to create an environment at which uh is it has love, we that has safety on women and also and on the LGBTQ community, because the issues that we are facing or what we are fighting against, it's patriarchy, and the least that we can do is looking at the people around us, who are the women around us, the LGBTQ people around us, and trying to provide a safe environment for them. Also what we can control is what we believe as well, believing that uh, everyone has, protecting people's rights, humans' rights, the universal rights of each and every individual, being kind to people. These are the things that we can control, even under this Sunday law era. I'll just put it as a Sunday law era because it's where it's heading, or it's where we are under, obviously, because things are going to be difficult from now on. But this is the least that we can do, at least to create a better environment for each and every one of us. And I hope everyone is still following. I hope I'm not losing anyone when it comes to this. Uh, yeah. But if there are no any other questions according to what I've said so far, then I'll just move on. Another way uh, we can deal with this political anxiety is the impacts. Obviously, I've spoke about the impacts that we might have on the people around us. What I've also have noticed, and it's a question that I always have them. I know we I don't know if not allowed or how I can put it to do public evangelism. You know, it's not that period to do public evangelism, or the way we thought of public evangelism than before. It's different than what it is now. But I remember before, when we are speaking about public evangelism, it was going out, sharing people about the message and whatnot and things like that. So, and the movement does not really give us a direction, if maybe I'm not mistaken, on how we can do this. But it does tell us that it's going to happen. People who are supposed to be in the movement, they are going to be in the movement. Obviously, uh, our impact is not as big as things are. As I've mentioned before when I started, that we are not a political movement where we would be going out and campaigning for people to vote for us, or putting out stickers that radical feminism is a way to go. The movement hasn't or spoken about how we should be doing like public evangelism, but it has spoken about our own lives and how our own lives can impact other people, because it can also be overwhelming and create some sense of anxiety to even like stress about, just imagine just being pressurized to go out and like tell people who are not even interested on hearing about feminism, or what sexism is, or how is patriarchy impacting them in this world. So it's so difficult. So just imagine having to go out and do that every day. So I think in a way, the movement does protect us, because we'd find a lot of persecution, and we might even end up giving up ourselves on doing this. Maybe we we
Mhm.
we we are not 100% ready now. Maybe we are going to be in the future, but the focus right now is the what you can do around. And some situations, obviously, you can never force them. Yes, you can communicate with people, tell them about this and that, but it's really difficult. It's really difficult. Personally, me, I'm speaking from a personal perspective. Mentioning topics that we talk about in the movement, it's so difficult when it comes to, it's like a taboo. It's like a taboo. People will think that you are crazy. People will think that this is madness. Just a lot of things. But the small impact that you can make, I think it brings joy in heaven. That one person that you are able to speak to, about uh, the way things are, it becomes, it's something. I think God will really take over when you have done that duty. So community impact is important when it comes to this as well. Uh, and also to deal with our mental well-being. What we need is to like, how can I put this? Because what we look at now, when maybe we go on social media, or maybe we look at the news, or whatever, or anything that we get to see that's happening in the world, it can be stressful. As I've mentioned, it can be stressful, it can be impactful on our mental well-being. And there are things that you need to do as an individual as well, personally as well, that can help you at least to stabilize your mind amongst this uh, everything that's happening in in the world. And one thing that you can do is that we know that uh, looking at media and the way things are, you know, uh, let's say opening your TV or looking at social media, when you get there, you find that there's wars happening, children are dying, bombs are happening, natural disasters uh, everywhere you go.
Sorry,
Now,
Thato.
recently, uh,
Sorry, Thato.
yes,
Your volume is too low. I don't know if it's on my side. The
oh, okay.
volume, I can't hear.
Can you hear me now? Am I loud
Repeat.
and am
Oh,
I loud and
yes,
clear?
yes.
Am I loud and
Yeah.
clear? Oh, okay. Okay, I'm really sorry about that. Yeah, hence I've said this can be so detrimental to our mental well-being. Turning on the TV, going on to social media, seeing that there are wars happening. Children and women are dying because of war. Even men also are dying because of this wars that are happening around the world. Natural disasters happening. All over the world. Even now, recently, Trump winning, it can be so detrimental for also our our well-being. It is important to be well informed. I must advise this. It is important to be well informed. It is important to the stream of information where you are getting your information and all of that. But it should not be overwhelming to you. And this is based on your mental well-being. Uh, when something becomes overwhelming to you, what will begin to happen? You will even begin to hate this movement because you you might even want to leave this movement because uh, maybe you have consumed so much of the negativity that's happening around the world. So it is always important to be informed, but it shouldn't overwhelm you. It shouldn't uh, take up your time to even look at the positive things that are happening out in the world. So it is important to also, even if there are things that are happening in the world, go outside, uh, go take an air, take some walks around the park and see nature at its best because nature does uh, make an impact in our well-being, in our mental well-being. It refreshes us, than to always be consumed about the media. Have time where you set yourself time that what for this hour, I'll just study everything that I've missed this week. Maybe it can be today, after this presentation, but it shouldn't be something that you consume of like yourself every day that now it becomes overwhelming to you. Don't uh, like miss the point. Don't get me misunderstood that uh, of maybe saying that you shouldn't keep up with the media podcast or things like that. But what I'm trying to say is that take time to also come out of that and see the good that also is in the world, And okay, uh, all right, yeah, also that is good in the world, and looking at also what is good in the world, ne? it it helps you to have a sense of purpose. You remember where, first I said that sometimes information can be so overwhelming that you end up hating the movement. Some of the people who have left the movement, uh, it might be because one of the reasons might be because of that. It might be because of the amount of information, and they couldn't see the future. Some of the people maybe who left the movement, it was because they saw that, hey, this is not good for my mental well-being. I don't see I don't see myself being having purpose in this movement because of the media that we consume. And the media that we consume, obviously, it will tell us that uh, there are wars that are happening in the Middle East, in Ukraine, uh, things like that. And it's painful. Imagine, it's painful having to learn about that and feeling also hopeless that you can't do anything. And this is when, like, you lose that sense of purpose. So looking at things on also the positive, as much as we look at the wars and everything that's happening, we also need to look at the positive news that are out there. You know, the progressions that we see, which are happening in other countries when it comes to human rights. The we also need to look at that. We also need to look at not only bad news, but we also need to look at good news and positive news that will give us a sense of purpose, a sense of where we are going. Now, and it's also is important for us to be resilient. Ne? It's important for us to be resilient because with resilience, ne, just to share something, in the movement, we know where we're going. We know what's coming. We know that after the Sunday law, it's the close of probation. After close of probation is the second coming. You know, so we know. So being resilient is that we know that in these different dispensation, there will be things that are happening. Things won't be better, but they will be worse. But that doesn't mean that there's no good at all. Good is there. The fact that we are still in this world, that means good is there. Some good is there. So we need to look into that as well so that we don't give up. We have this sense of purpose and have resilience, uh, to stay on and to keep up with with the movement. Sometimes we just lose hope. We don't remember why we even are here in the movement at the in the first place. Just go back in the beginning. Ask yourself, why did I really join this movement? What is it that actually brought me here? And that if if it was the reason that you saw lights, you saw that this movement has got, you saw, even with the mistakes that might have happened, at the end of the day, we are still human. Ne? We have done a lot of mistakes, and those mistakes in the movement, we are trying to correct them, as we also progress. It might be a slow progression, but we are correcting those things. Ne? I know some of the people that might have been left, uh, they might have been abused maybe by some of the people within the movement and things like that and whatnot. But we need to be resilient. I I have hope, and I know as a movement where we are going, we are looking into the second coming. We have a hopeful we are hopeful that you know the end is going to be better than where we are right now. So unlike just giving into all these distractions that are happening in the world, because people, they get distracted, they continue, living a life without purpose outside, because of they don't see that sense, or they've lost that sense of purpose within the movement because of its difficulties. Things will be difficult, but then, you know, at the end of the tunnel, there is light, to be honest. Né? Uh, and then, yeah, another thing as well. Okay, I think I've mentioned uh, about being mindfulness, né? But also to add when it comes to also being mindfulness uh, is obviously, as I mentioned, take time to do your nature walks, take time to breathe, take time to move out from uh, all the news and the dramas of the world and look at you know uh, 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 a different perspective rather than the negativity that we see. There are a lot of good things that are also happening as the bad thing is also happening. So yeah, that's what mindfulness is all about. Okay. This okay, it's just that uh it's media diets, ne? Media diets means that we are consumed about what we take in. Hence, I've mentioned that it's important that every now and then to sprinkle some good news in there, and we need to be optimistic, and we need to believe that things can be better, that things will be better. You know, even though uh, our line they tell us that things are going to be worse, but for our mental well-being, for us to continue to have hope and things like that, we need to be resilient, and we need to look at the good that's left in the world and use that to create an impact out there. As I've mentioned, positive news. Uh, we also need to focus on looking at positive news. And then the one thing that I would want to talk about, and to even consider that we are about to go to camp in December. It's community support. COVID has has created this gap between fellowship. Actually, it has destroyed the fellowship which we had before. Before we'd usually meet every Sabbath, uh, in fellowships, in church, talk about these things. And with community, the nice thing about community, and it's the psychological importance of community. The more we are with people of the same mind, I believe in the movement. We are of the same mind, even if though we are different, but we are of the same mind in what we believe. Obviously, radical feminism, uh, believing in uprooting uh, patriarchy, women's rights, LGBTQ's rights, and things like that. We These are the things that we believe, and when we meet and talk about these things, you have a sense of belonging. You have a sense of purpose, the one that I've spoken about. You 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 become refreshed. But then when you're alone, the world sometimes does consume us. We compromise because we find it that it's difficult, we don't have anyone to support us. So it is important that we engage with people around the movement. It's important that we engage with those who we love, with those who love us. It's important to 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 build one another, you know. And I know, even talking and encouraging people as we 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 go to we're going towards a camp, you will see this will happen naturally. We'll be refreshed, we'll be happy to see one another, you know. You'll even what is this name called, be revived, like a revival. You'll have like a sense of revival, a sense of uh that thoughts. You remember I asked you that, you remember I've mentioned that, uh, what does it mean for you to be in the movement? You know, what made you come into the movement? You know, when we are together as a community and supporting one another, there's that sense of belonging and sense of understanding what's happening. It becomes clearer. Sometimes people, they don't understand uh, the 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 studies online. You know, it's because other people, they learn in person to person. You know, that's how people learn. You know, it becomes difficult for learning in via Zoom, you know, trying to grab information via Zoom. So people, I remember uh, even here around Mpumalanga, when we are going to visit other uh, people from different places, like when we are going to Sabuswa and things like that. You know, it was refreshing seeing other people, even going to, you know, Joburg, seeing Milton and Gracious. It becomes refreshing. And last, like, you know, when we see each other, it really becomes refreshing. And you have that sense of purpose, you know, and you continue and in that path. So it community support is really important, to engage with one another and to connect, you know. And this helps us not to withdraw from where we are going. And then also, let's not be just passive about everything that we take in. Sometimes what makes us even like hopeless and not willing to act, not to act, but not to have that sense of purpose, is that we we are not willing to participate. We are not willing to act, to rejuvenate like ourselves. We are just passive. We just take in information, but we don't do anything about that information. And I know that people are different. Others, it's not everyone who's going to teach. It's not everyone who's going to be a leader of the movement. It's not everyone who's going to, but small actions, they also do play a role, you know. Uh, Talking to someone, it shouldn't be even maybe standing up and teaching like a group of people. Just talking to maybe one of your friends, you know, that you are close with, if it's easy to do that. It creates, it does give you that sense of purpose as well, you know. Just once in a while, even if maybe your friend, someone who's outside the movement, is someone who's difficult, you know, but as mentioning a thing or two about how you perceive the world, how you're looking at things, you know, it will create an impact, and it will give you a, a, a sense of belonging, even if it can be a bit difficult. You know, when you go back home, maybe you will see that, hey, you know, what I've done today, even though it might have been discouraging, at least I had that courage to do so. You know, so we need to be impactful. We need do something just nje, little nyana something nje to show or to educate people on what on the issues that we are facing in the world and the perspective that you also are having, and also within the movement, to be honest, me as I've observed, I think the actions that we did in the previous dispensation, in the dispensation where we were distancing ourselves from the world and things like that, we did a lot, to be honest. We did a lot. We were so impactful. The fact that, to be honest, some people even left their jobs, some people even left schools. I'm not encouraging that right now. Obviously, it's not where the movement is now. But the fact that people, did that, we were so impactful, but in a bad way. Why can't we now be impactful in a good way? Why can't we now, you know, like I know Numbuso is always encouraging people to donate and all of that. And I know that we are living in difficult times. But also think about it. When you have like that money, do support people who are being abused. Do support, the rights of the LGBTQ. We, as in the beginning, I've mentioned that we are the refugees of those who are suffering, and we need to be impactful, just like the energy that we had during that time. It's the energy that we also need to put in, to be honest, even in this time, you know, so that that sense of purpose comes back, in. And yeah, that's what I wanted to point out when it comes to the local actions that we can give. Yes, we cannot change the whole world. That's why here I said local actions. Locally, what is it that you can do? Even checking up on someone. And I've noticed, and I'm appreciate like I do appreciate uh checking on one another within the movement. There are people who I still check upon. There are people who still check upon me. But for you to also have that sense of purpose and belonging, do check on people around the movement, even if it's just for a hi, how you feeling? It makes a whole impact. Gracious and Milton, they will call, and I don't think they just call me. I think they call maybe almost everyone. They do bring that sense of uh, like I am part of the movement, because where I'm staying, I'm also a bit alone and things like that. So it's not most of the time that, I get to fellowship and things like that. And some people might have that privilege of fellowshipping and things like that. So just imagine, having to call people, find out how they are and things like that, the impact that it will do to them. And I'll compare it in even before. Before, before the funny thing, just to speak about myself, I've sacrificed the whole whole thing, like even my friends from outside there, because we used to be very, very radical in a bad way. I've sacrificed my friends in the world and things like that. Those relationships that I've sacrificed based on what the movement have taught me, I'm trying to, get back to them, because I saw that it was ridiculous to cut off people during that time, during the previous dispensation. So, but most of my friends, in the time where I was isolating myself with the people in the movement, it was people in the movement. I would use to communicate. We'd use to talk about lines and things like that. I would buy minutes to talk about, how the lines are going. How, we used to do that. And I don't think I'm the only one. I think most people who came before that time, we used to do that. But now, do we really call each other and talk about uh how things are? Do we, or how, and beside how things are, but how are you, as a person? That what are are those challenges that you are facing and things like that? Uh, are we doing that? We should be doing that if we want to create that community support. So those actions, they are really important. For me today is just to give that a bit of encouragement in how the politics will be looking on from now on. The impacts we might not be feeling personally, uh, but when we look at the news, we'll be sad that things are happening out in the world, and you should be grateful that sometimes these politics they happen, but they might not you might not feel the impacts of them like physically or even like naturally. And not to put it in a bad way, I'm not even saying that having privileges is not a bad thing, but you need to be grateful as well of those privileges. But don't obviously do good with those privileges. Don't do bad with them. Don't brag that you are in a better space and things like that. But do appreciate those privileges. Yeah. We sometimes put ourselves down. That's why I'm talking about privileges right now. Yeah. And I know that we should be we should have humility and things like that. But we should also, to be honest, yeah, we should accept and love ourselves, because even in the Bible, it's like it's written that uh, how can you love? Okay, no, I'm using the wrong one. Love your neighbor, but as you love yourself. So if you are going to like love your neighbor, you need to also see uh, the love that's also around you and the love that you need to put in also in yourself. Last week we were talking about beauty within and beauty without, and from the dialogue that we have, just to bring bell hooks again in this conversation, from the dialogue that we had, uh, I know that maybe a lot of people might not have understood uh, what bell hooks maybe was trying to teach, but from my understanding, what I got out from that book, especially on last week's topic on beauty within and beauty without, is that we need to accept ourselves, we need to love ourselves. But that it was talking about obviously how we see ourselves. We're even talking about God's image. Uh, and today I'm bringing this verse that for in order for you to love someone else, you also need to love who you are, regardless. And I've mentioned this, regardless of how the world sees you or how other people sees you, regardless of the negativity that's there around the world, be regardless of the stereotypes of how we should be looking, whether you are a man, whether you are a woman. But I know this it affect mainly women, because and this is what sexism does to the world. Even the fact that, just to bring back politics again, even the fact that like Kamala Harris was not voted in. I was just reading an article just before uh yeah, just before I was about to present, and she really got a lot of negative backlash. People were saying that how is she going to, be a leader of the world uh, if she's a woman? How is she going to be a good leader if she continues to dance and sings? Because Kamala Harris, I think she likes rap and things like that. Yeah, she likes rap. So she would rap and things like that. So people were even saying, how will she be a good leader if she, listens to hip hop and things like that, and she raps publicly and whatnot. And there were a lot of negative backlash and almost the same things that Donald Trump does, you know, like dancing and whatnot and things like that. You find that Kamala Harris was the one who, whether you do right as a woman or whether you do wrong, you will still be persecuted in this world, or there will be a lot of negativity, in this world. But your self image, the way you look at yourself, it's important for also your well being and also yourself. So, yeah, just yeah, to speak about that as well. What we spoke about last week. Uh, okay, yeah. So everything that I've mentioned today, it was about stress management, how we manage the stress. Firstly, uh, we might be working, we might be, living lives like our own lives separate from the movement and things like that. You know, it's important to always keep sane in this world. So everything that I've mentioned today, it's all about taking care of your well-being. I didn't want to, uh, read bell hooks because we might be reading it and find ourselves being hopeless, you know, because we'd be asking ourselves, what's the point? What's the point of reading this if the world is taking that direction? What's the point of that? What's the point of following these studies? I know I also have to do some a bit of catching up. There are some presentations that I've missed that I need to go back. And this is what stress management is about. Even like there's a lot of things that we need to be doing, but we need to have some sense of balance also. We need to have some sense of balance. We need to keep up with the movement. We need to keep up with our family, and things like that, things like that. But the most important thing is that, and this is the point that should stay also in our heart, is that as much as all these things are happening, just put in that resilient that you don't lose focus of where we're going, especially in the movement. Regardless of everything that's happening, we shouldn't lose focus on what's happening. I think having camp this year is important, at least for us to even come back and have that sense of belonging, sense of where we are going and things like that, so that we can be refreshed from even our personal lives as well. Because even our personal lives can be stressful, to be honest. As much as even the movement can be stressful, but we shouldn't lose focus of it. Our lives, yes, it can be stressful, but remember that this world is not ours. There's a better there's a better world that we are also hoping for or looking forward to. You know, so we need to look into that as well. Hence, it is important to be active members as well in the movement, not just be passive. It's good to be passive when when you are trying to understand something, to be open and taking in. But you cannot be living in that period for a very long time. Even our lines show us that there was a time for us, from 1989 up until 2014. There was a time for us where we're just observing at what we are looking we should be looking at. But right now, it's the time to act. It's the time to do that. We also have that big line that we see of the movement. You can also apply it in your life. You cannot be in the period of uh, 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 1989 up until uh, 2014 for for a very long time. You should be also be moving with with the with the time. So yeah, I know. I've said a lot. I've said a lot of things, and this was just to give some bit of encouragement on what we have faced, especially this week. Uh, we things are still unfolding, but let's not be discouraged. Let's not wash our hands and say, if it's the Sunday law, then what is it that I can do? Let me just let it be. But there's much that we can still do. So it's what I wanted to talk about today. I know it's something different, maybe, but yeah, I don't know if there are any questions, contributions.
Hello?
Yes,
Hello?
Deborah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Mm,
Hello, Tato Masego. Thank you very much
yes,
for really presenting these things. Is really for it is a really we are facing it very much in the movement, because the social we don't interact. We only listen to the to the Zoom, and some of us we came from the nominal. You see, we are used to many activities. You see, many activities of the church, where you go and socialize, where you go and study, where you go and participate in many activities. So in this movement, we are so isolated. We are like me, I'm alone, you see, and though my daughter is there, but she comes only the Sabbath and she's tired. We study only. But my dear, the whole of last year we never had a camp meeting, no interaction, no study. You see, one time we went to Siabuswa last year, it was nice. We met there, the movement, and you could see people teaching us good things. And I tell you, that day when we left Siabuswa, we are so empowered. Eh? So the movement, we are lacking interaction and socializing. I mean, it is a religion to boost the mind. When you see people whom you believe the same, you are always become stronger. You see, every time stronger. One time we went to Lucky there in Northern Cape. We had gone for a funeral, but we met Tato Mukoto, and we went there to Lucky. Lucky was teaching us. We met new people in the movement in Eastern. That we were so happy, you know. The movement, this one was really we are not, we are lacking this socialization and participation and loving each other. Because when we meet, we talk, we meet, we are refreshed. Whatever you have been suffering from depression, it goes away. But it is very important, this movement, to think about, we see, so that not only waiting for camp meeting, like camp meeting last year, there was no camp meeting the whole year. So we have depression somehow because we are not interacting, we are not socializing, we are not meeting the brothers and sisters. Then we can't learn new things. Because one time when we went in 2020, 22, 20, yeah, we had a camp meeting there where we met people and we are learning many things. You meet somebody and you learn and you share the ideas of the movement. You come when you from the wherever meeting when you are refreshed. It's very important, this movement, to think about interaction and participating in a certain activities, not to wait for only camp meeting once a year. Thank you very much. Some of us, we have a depression, and when we go somewhere, we see, when you meet the brothers and sisters, we share what the achievement, and we know each other needs. There we can meet. If you have a needs, then you tell us. We meet in the camp, then you tell us that I'm suffering this and that, then we help each other. Thank you, Mashiku.
Thank you, Deborah. Yeah, actually, yeah, it's thank you so much. You are right. You are right. Yeah, last when we went for when we came from Matitaba, I believe that we refreshed. People they even still talk about Matitaba even today. Uh, I know, they so, but at least this year we have a camp. I wish everyone who's here. I'm hoping to see you there. It's gonna be nice. It's gonna be nice. I do believe so because we don't even share. You know the thing with Zoom. Zoom has taken. You,
Wait a
you,
minute, Zinua. Kutonywa
it's
another.
Yeah. So I was saying, with Zoom, the difficult thing with it is that I hear a lot of speakers, even me, as one of uh, today speaking. I would ask people, what are your thoughts? How are you feeling? And things like that. And 100% of the time, you won't get any response. With now meeting face to face, obvious, we know, to be honest, we know. I'm just going to put it straight. We know that it's rude if someone asks you a question while you're interacting with them and you just keep silent. Now, I know with Zoom it becomes difficult because maybe other issues, if I can ask, how are you doing, individually? Some people won't feel good on saying it. Maybe it's because they're afraid of, uh, a lot of people, having that social anxiety as well. But with meeting face to face, it becomes easy. If I ask you how you doing, you're gonna tell me. You're gonna even share even more and say that. But I've noticed with Zoom, it becomes difficult. And reason I think people do it, it's because they miss that engagement. They like that engagement. It's so nice to engage. Even other speakers who have presented even before me, they would even say the same thing. I always hear if people say and sometimes I keep quiet because I'm noticing that I'm always the one who, if I do open my mic, I'm always the one. Maybe let me give other people a chance. But I've seen it, even if I keep quiet, People really they won't talk and things like that. But it has made things very difficult. So I'm glad that this year we're having a camp. I just wish we can have camp every often, meets every often. We used to have big Sabbath. Big Sabbath are not happening anymore. But I understand. I understand we are living in different places and money is involved. Like a lot of these things obviously require money. And I know a lot of people might be struggling with money and things like that. But I just wish, it's my wish, it's my prayer that uh, can we at least do such things again, you know? But I'm hoping for a better. This is what I'm hopeful for, that meeting with everyone and things like that, it becomes better. We get to understand one another on a personal level. In Zoom becomes difficult because you cannot have maybe a private. Some people need private conversations, you know, so it becomes difficult. But participation is important. I think when speakers they ask online that what do you think about this, let's not let's not be afraid. This is my other encouragement and maybe motivation. Let's not be afraid. Let's open our mics. Let's engage. It helps the speaker to also want to present even next week, because sometimes it becomes discouraging that presenting and then I ask questions, people following. Maybe people are sleeping as we speak now, you know, because it's Zoom. We don't know what's happening behind behind the screens there. And yeah, but uh, what can we say? It's the after, it's the post-COVID era. And it's here to stay. We cannot change. I know a lot of people are learning from it. A lot of people are keeping up with the message because of this. So it's not that we will stop it, but let's encourage having those interactions that we used to have before. I've gone way past my time, but I can leave maybe for if there are any other people who would like to share, say something. If maybe you have any questions, if I can answer, I will answer. If someone else can answer, they can answer. Anything. It can be anything open. I'm leaving up that space, just testing what I've said, if it's true.
Thato,
Yes, is it lucky?
yes, it's like here.
Yeah, lucky.
Yeah, thank you very much for the study. I just want to confirm what you are saying. I just want to say I'm very privileged where I am, as Deborah has alluded to it as well, because here we have a fellowship. So I get to see abazalwane every Sabbath, you see. So every Sabbath we get to interact in person with one another. So it is very refreshing. So I just want to add on what you are saying. Yeah, so I'm just thinking, uh, I know we may have different circumstances where we are, but uh, I think sometimes we have to create these I don't know, these connections. Let me put it that way. I think sometimes it is something that we have to create uh, for ourselves. As you've said, that we have to do something. We have to, you said local action, something like that. So at the end of the day, we have to interact, we have to make these connections, because there's a lot we have uh, in this movement. This message is so strong and so powerful. It's informative. There's everything. There's every tools. We have everything. So sometimes I keep wondering to myself, what is this information about? I mean, this all this information. What are we gonna do with it? You know, I sometimes ask myself, yes, we are learning, and yes, for sure, something is happening in us as we are learning, we are growing. But I also believe that learning or consuming information also goes hand in hand with sharing this information. Because if you don't share it, it's not gonna help much, and it's gonna be stagnant. It's gonna be stuck within you, and you won't realize yourself or who you even are. So I'm not sure. Maybe it's the way uh, I I grew up in the church, or in this journey of Christianity, because right from the beginning, it was my habit, to share whatever I have, to share whatever I know about Christ. And that became my habit, and it kept growing, you know, because like even now in this day and age, in this age of technology, I still believe we can do something in these social media spaces, because I'm looking at the social media, I'm looking at the people of the world. They are really using this space, and I'm looking at myself. I'm looking at myself. I'm like, what can I do? Surely there has to be something here. So, what I would do, just to share, because I'm that kind of person. I get, I study and I do all these things. I get bored. I get tired. Let me put it. I don't know how to put it, but I get tired somehow if I don't share this, because, like I said, there's a lot of information in this movement. As you will know, ever since 1989, we've been growing. This message now really is it's so powerful. So I'm just saying, even in this social media, I'm not sure. I don't think social media is for all of us, but even myself, I'm not a social media person, but I'm thinking, what can I do here? So, I'm just emphasizing this point of doing something, interacting with people. So I go to social media, I try to interact with people, I meet people there, I make contacts. I'm talking about Seventh Adventist people as well, most of them, and that's my target anyway. But I do interact with other people as well. So just to just to share. And when you do that, you will be surprised that you will you will help someone, or you will find an avenue to come into these spaces, or you will even meet people you've never thought you will meet, you know. uh, so yeah, so what I want to say, I'm just mumbling, but I think I'm saying, uh, to emphasize on what you're saying, to add that these contexts, these interactions are needed for our well-being. Really, they are needed. I just look at myself, when I was just interacting, when I'm just finished interacting with someone, I get rejuvenated, really, because to share these things, it helps, you know. One time I was discussing with this Adventist in Cape Town. We spent 4 hours, more than 4 hours, you know, uh, in a WhatsApp voice, in a call. I found this Adventist in that TikTok space. He's posting stuff there, you know, and I found ways to text him. We changed platforms. We went to WhatsApp. I managed to call him. Is something, I don't know what he's doing in Cape Town, but I think he's busy. Is something there with the leadership and stuff. So we're talking. We spent 4 hours talking about. We're talking everything, 2520, the charts, you know. And this brother will tell me, I know these things, you know, but I've never studied these things. The 2520, yeah, I know, but I've heard, I know, you know. And he says to me, explain this thing to me. What is this? You know? And so I was busy explaining these things on the phone. I didn't even know that I was able to give a sermon or even a study on the phone because I'm using a board, you know. But I can tell you the 2520 on the phone, I was flying with it, you know. The seven churches in the New and the Old Testament, everything in 4 hours. So there was an interest, and he couldn't deny what I was telling him. But again, you know, at the end of the day, it's going to be up to the individual what to do with that information. But what I'm trying to say is uh, these contexts, these interactions, I think they need an effort, to put a little bit of an effort on our side to make them. They are possible, you know, they're possible. Uh, I've made some few contacts. You know, there's a guy in Limpopo. We we are we are we are we are we are discussing. You know, he's interested in Daniel and Revelation, and he's listening. He's very interested in these things. You know, so what I'm saying, these interactions, they are possible. You know, and when you do them, hey, they are really, they are reviving, they are refreshing. So I was just saying that, yeah, I'm very privileged here with the church. Here in Manfreya, we are interacting every Sabbath here, you know. So it is a very, it's very refreshing to see abazalwane every Sabbath. And one last thing here is like I said, we are coming from different places, and we came to the movement in different times, and our cases are different. But I'm wondering, we are here in the movement now. Are we all disfellowshipped in the Seventh-day Adventist Church? It's just a question. As we are here now, is it because we're all disfellowshipped? Because if we were disfellowshipped, it means we were really doing our job somewhere, you know. But because if we are not disfellowship, I'm thinking even to revive those old friendships, contacts, whatever, I think they can still make a difference, because a lot of people, in the true sense, in reality, they don't know about this message, and they just don't know. All they know is what they've been told by the leaders and those influential people in the church. People never got to really listen and understand what we're teaching really. So if we can try to revive those old friendships, I think they can go a long way, especially now. This message is in my view, this message is complete. And like I say, I do not understand how I'm trying to say, as I'm looking at myself, these messages, this information, I'm just thinking to myself, where are we going with this message? Because it's a lot. It is you can't sit with this and just not to share with someone. I don't know how how we manage to do this, you know. So, but yeah. So maybe let me stop here. I'm gonna talk endlessly, but I was trying to say something. I'm not sure if my point, you can get my point on what I'm trying to say.
Yes, I got it. And thank you, Lucky. I now understand uh, how it became 4 hours. Now I'm just pulling your leg. Yeah,
Yeah,
but you are right. You are right. We do need that in engagement, at least, because like it is refreshing. When it comes to going back to the fellow to SDA and things like that, I think it uh, some it has happened before. I know that it has happened before, but then the movement came to a point where it's so like I, I don't want to be maybe like miscorrected or something, but it came to a point where we saw that Adventism is not uh, like the church that we should be in. So that's why, you know, we ended up having maybe seeing ourselves separate from Adventism. Now, interacting obviously with people, if we do, I believe if we do have access to some of the people that are in the church, I think that, yeah, Elder Pamanda once said that if there is that possibility, interaction can be there, depending on your relationship with that person. But going there, asking for a platform and things like that, to present and whatnot. Uh, I I don't know if it works and it works for you, but I remember such what you are talking about. From the little knowledge that I have, these are the things that used to happen. But then, as time goes, uh, there was a complete separation when it comes to the SDA church. So we no longer or do that anymore, where we go to the church and share the message. It means that now they need to come to us if they are interested, but it's no more like going now to them and do that, because most of the people within the movement, they are from the SDA church, and they have obviously had some relationship with people from there. They People in SDA church, I know that they take fellowship seriously and things like that. Because I would get shocked that people say that they left the church and they had to sign like a resignation of the church. I learned these things while I was here, because I didn't come from SDA, so I learned these things while I'm here. But when they were mentioning it, I got to see that fellowship was taken seriously. That people are even asked that when they left, they knew that there was this movement that's stealing their people, and it was something that was happening during those days and things like that. So people in the SDA, they are aware that there are people who left the church. They are aware. Other people, they are interested. Maybe they continue to communicate with some of the members within the movement. uh, Others, they just ignorant. They don't want anything to do with them because they take these things very seriously and whatnot. Leaving the church is a big thing to them. They see some of the members in the movement as lost and whatnot and things like that. So, however it happens, because there's no, as I've mentioned in the study, I don't want to be long as well. I'm gonna close. As I've mentioned as well, is that uh, you know uh, the movement. We said there won't be any public evangelism, and things like that. And we need to focus on our things. The information that you are talking about, it's still getting complete. It's complete. I also believe that it's complete and things like that. Uh, I don't really think that there will be a new like a message. It will just be opening up of this one, or seeing this one gets worse and that. So I don't know going forward. Remember, there are things that we're still fixing organization. I think the organization part is not complete. The message might be complete, but the organization part is not complete. Now they are reviewing our vows. The vows are being reviewed. So I think when those things are done, there will be a directive on how maybe we interact with the world. But I'm not saying that we shouldn't interact with the world. We should interact with the world. We should tell them about what we believe and things like that. But it's gonna be if they're interested, if you are like that, Lucky, and if it works for you, I think I don't know how, if it will be a good advice as well. Maybe speaking to the elders and asking them how you can maybe go about this, But from the little that maybe I know, I think it's that, interacting, it's good. People, if they show interest, we need to provide information to them. But if they don't show interest, you can't force them as well, you can't force them. Yeah, that's what I can say. But not to be long. I think we need to rest. We need to take time to unwind and things like that. I don't know if there will be a meeting again tomorrow, but I'll just close in a word of prayer, then we can close. Okay, let's close our eyes. Dear God, thank you once again for this message which you have given us. Thank you for the Sabbath. Thank you that we come here together as your people to discuss issues which are facing us, to discuss things, how the way they are looking around the world, things that we are seeing, how democracy is now failing, how there's war on democracy, how there's war on human rights, and all of that. Uh, with today's study or presentation or discussion, uh, I just hope that it brings back hopes in people's heart, even living under the Sunday law, living within the Sunday law. I pray that you may be with us, you may protect us, be with our family, be with our friends, Lord. Guide us into righteousness. May we not lose focus, even on the busyness of life, Lord. May you continue to protect us and bless us also, Lord, with all that our heart desires as well, as long as they align with bringing us even closer to you. I pray now in Jesus' name as we meet again. Uh, amen and amen. Thank you, everyone. Hope to see you again next time. Yeah, I'll just